Wellington Dukes TV is brought to you by the Sandbanks Bar and Grill. Dukes fans, stop by the Sandbanks Bar and Grill on any home game night wearing your Dukes gear to receive 10% off your meal. The Sandbanks Bar and Grill, 153 Main Street, Wellington, Ontario. It's always better by the water. Hello again and welcome to another edition of Wellington Dukes TV, brought to you as always by the fine folks at the Sandbanks Bar and Grill, 153 Main Street, Wellington. Be sure to drop by when the Dukes are on the road this postseason because Dan will have the game on the big screen. Just one final game left in the 2013-14 OJHL regular season for the Wellington Dukes. To recap, before we have the upcoming postseason, let's check out last week's home finale. The Dukes and the Chargers playing in Wellington's final home game of the regular season. Heading into this one, the Dukes were locked into 5th place in the Northeast Conference, while a single point would punch Mississauga's ticket to the postseason for the first time in 7 years. Early in the first, it's the Dukes getting on the board as Abbott Gerdukis finds Andrew McCann in front, and it's a 1-0 Wellington lead. Later in the frame, former Duke Jackson Howe will collect a feed in front and lift it over Taylor Welsh, and it's 1-1. The Chargers take their first lead just over halfway through the frame, and Lucas Venuto will beat Welsh, and it's 2-1. Parker Wood would tie it early in the second, and then Stephen Deeg will push the Dukes ahead as this effort just sneaks under Austin Washkaruk, and it's 3-2. But just over a minute later, and it's Venuto with his second, and it's all tied up at 3 going to the third. Wellington does not start well in the final frame, and it will be Mitch Mealing scoring 59 seconds into it to put Missy up 4-3. Just 31 seconds later, Venuto will tip home his hat-trick goal, and the Chargers charge out in front, 5-3. With Wellington trying to get back into it, this Trevor Warner shot will bounce off Welsh and just sit there for Ayrton Valente, and he scores, and the Chargers are getting closer to the playoffs. Later in the frame, Deeg will get his second of the night on the power play. But that was all for Wellington. Washkaruk makes 45 saves in the win for Mississauga, many of the spectacular variety, and the Chargers take the game 6-4. Well, certainly a sudden change in events last weekend, just as it seemed the Dukes were all set to play the Whitby Fury in round 1. The Cobourg Cougars lost to Georgetown 8-2 in their final game of the season, dropping from the 3rd seed to the 4th seed and earning a chance to take on their longtime division rival. One single win separating these clubs through 53 OJHL regular season games, and their power play and penalty kill proficiencies are almost identical. The clubs split their regular season matchups with each other, with each team taking a lopsided victory at home. For Cobourg, Kenzie Smith will provide a physical presence. Here we see him taking out a Mississauga Charger earlier this month, and Dukes fans will recall this devastating hit on Griffin McCarty back in September. Former Amherst View Jet Nathan Perry is the key man in the pipes for the Cougars. Perry had 26 wins and a pair of shutouts for Cobourg in his final season of Junior A hockey. The Cougars can attack with speed and have good young legs. Liam Grande and Mason Marchment are among the top rookies in the Ontario Junior Hockey League. The club is coached by Curtis Hodgins and is very tenacious when a trapping style is employed, although the Cougars can open up their style of play when warranted. Look for Captain Connor Armour and stud defenseman Alex De Oliveira to lead the way for the Cougars as they have all season. This should be a very entertaining series as both clubs seem to match up evenly, and whenever Marty Abrams goes head-to-head with Curtis Hodgins in a 7-game series, it's always been a tense and tight affair. Be sure to check in early next week as we recap the first 3 games of the series. For Wellington Dukes TV, I'm Jason Parks.